Hey, what's up everyone? Back for this Saturday slate. In this video, we're going to look at the early slate on Draftkings starting at 2:10. It's a 10-game slate, so let's get right into it. A lot to talk about. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody watching. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to enjoy this weekend and you're not going to be working. But starting off at pitcher, before we get started, please like and subscribe down below. I appreciate it. But starting off at pitcher, we have Patrick Corbin is by far the best pitcher on the slate, and he gets the best matchup as well. I mean, Carrasco is a pretty good pitcher in real life, but I'm not in love with the matchup against the Rays. I mean, the Rays have a pretty good offense, and they have been giving a lot of people trouble. And Charlie Morton is fine, I think, but he has been I don't think he hasn't really had like a 30-point. He hasn't had a 30-point game yet. Like the most he's gotten is like 27. So when I'm paying up a pitcher, I want to get a guy that has like mid 30-point upside, and that's exactly what Corbin has. He's gotten over 30 like 4 or 5 times already this season. I feel like it's a great bounce back spot for him. Anytime a pitcher of his caliber has a bad start, I would assume that they work hard and try to make sure that doesn't happen again. And it's a really good spot for him to bounce back against this Marlins team. The Marlins lineup went off yesterday, so they're probably not going to score a run for another week. And I'm just joking, but Corbin with the lefty against this Marlins lineup, I feel pretty good about him. They have a very low total, and Corbin can get a ton of Ks. And this lineup, a lot of guys strike out a bunch in this Miami team, and they haven't seen him yet this season, which is gonna favor Corbin because like the Mets have saw him like the fourth time they saw him is when they kind of roughed him up. But this Marlins team hasn't seen him, and a lot of their team is filled with young guys, and Corbin can easily just strike out a bunch of them. So I feel really good about Corbin. And then I'm going to go with kind of a cheaper pitcher I like. It's going to be Andrew Suarez. So the Diamondbacks have a pretty low total. It's only 3.9 runs, one of the lowest ones on the slate. They actually have a lower total than the Giants, which I thought was pretty interesting. So obviously Vegas prefers Suarez if you're picking a pitcher in this game, but they just the Diamondbacks get a park downgrade going into San Fran. Suarez has a little bit of upside. I mean, last season he was okay. He wasn't like terrible. But pitching in this ballpark is going to save him a lot because if he does give up fly balls, this park can just eat fly balls. He had 13 in his first start against the Braves. I feel like he can get the same amount, if not a little more, because the Diamondbacks do strike out more than the Braves. The Braves don't strike out that much. And like I said, it's just the Diamondbacks have a low total. And we don't really have any other value option to go with. The other guy in his price range is going to be Arrieta. Maybe he's a little safer, but against the Brewers in Milwaukee, don't really like Arrieta. And then don't want to really pay 8,100 for Fires. And then kind of think guys down here kind of a crapshoot, except maybe Alcantara had a big game, but like besides that start, he hasn't showed anything since the opening day start. So can't really recommend him either. So I'm just gonna go with Suarez and hope he gets me like 15 plus. And then with the bats today, feel like you're going to be wanting to stack up the Mets against Carpenter. So yesterday was a good example of when the weather starts to heat up. You don't really have to look at the ballpark that much. Like both teams went off, even though the game was being played in Citi Field, which is one of the best pitcher-friendly ballparks in the majors. But both lineups went off. A lot of home runs were hit in that game. And the weather's supposed to be really warm once again in New York, so with this pitcher on the mound, like the Mets can easily score another 10 runs. Carpenter's given up 4 home runs in just 9 innings. The Detroit bullpen is also very bad, and they had to use up a lot of guys yesterday with Soto barely making it through 3 innings. So I like a lot of the Mets here against Carpenter. I like some Twins again because their lineup is just absolutely on fire, especially the righties here. Maybe even some of the lefties because this guy is not that good. And then I'll probably go with some Tiger bats against Vargas, who is still with Jason Vargas, and even though he has a bunch of games where he's been okay, he's making his first start in a couple weeks. I expect him to be rusty, and he's not known to strike people out and gives up a lot of home runs. So that's kind of my favorite stacks, and then maybe go with a couple of Royals if you want to get sneaky because Cap gives up a ton of bombs, and the KC lineup, they have a little bit of power. With Dozier has power, so does Mondesi, Merrifield, and Soler. So Hap has given up 13 bombs in just 52 innings. So you can go with a couple Royals if you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the stacks. I'm going to start it off at second base, though. I like kind of a cheaper guy here. He's going to be Chad Pinder. He's only $3,800. Whenever he's facing a lefties when I play him, I only play him when he's against lefties. He's really good against lefties. I showed you guys the numbers in yesterday's video, so I'm not going to go over it again, but he's hitting over about 300 against lefties this season. Has much more power to lefties, hitting over 200 ISO. His career numbers are about like 40. His batting average is over 40 points higher to lefties than righties. And he's batting like right at the top of the order with Chris Davis sent to the IL. He's going to be batting like second. He's going to be in the same spot that he hit in yesterday. So I feel really good about Chad Pinder and his price tag. Next up at shortstop, it's amazing how Gene Segura is the most expensive guy at shortstop. I mean, never thought I would see that day, but he's been deserving of it. 325 average, but not going to be paying that much for him. I'm going to go with a $4,000 Med Rosario. So Rosario gets to face Carpenter. Like I said, Carpenter is just a terrible pitcher. He's going to get absolutely wrecked. And the bullpen behind him is not good either. So it's a really good spot to go with some more Mets here. Especially if Conforto's back, that'll just boost the entire lineup. But we need Ryan Carpenter's numbers here. So he's actually been terrible to both sides of the plate, I think. So this season, righties and lefties are both crushing it against him. And career numbers, it's not a huge sample size because he hasn't been in the league that long because he's not very good. But lefties have a 694 slugging against him. Righties have a 673 slugging. And the batting average is just off the charts and doesn't strike them out either. Only has a under 20%, 16% K rate to lefties and 13.7 to righties. That's not going to get the job done at the major league level. So Rosario leading off at 4,000. He has power, also has some speed. I like him. In the outfield, I'm going to go with Nick Castellanos. So he's extremely cheap. When I saw the price tag on him, I like it. I mean, that popped out to me. It stuck out to me just because whenever he's facing a lefty is when he really gets my attention. Against lefties, he's amazing. He's one of the best hitters in the league against lefties over the past couple seasons, and this season is no different. He hasn't faced a ton of lefties this season. I'll show you guys his numbers. It's only been 26 at-bats, but he's hitting 385 against lefties. But 2018, for the bigger sample size, he hit 147 at-bats. He had a 381 batting average to left-handed pitching, over 100 points higher than his numbers against right-handed pitching. So feel really good about Nick Castellanos, especially with Vargas' struggles with righties. And he's extremely cheap at $3,900. When he's facing a lefty, I expect him to be mid 4,000s at least, but he's very cheap here, so I feel good about him. And then I'm going to go with Kyle Schwarber. So ever since Schwarber's gotten the leadoff spot, he's been hitting the ball really well. He has at least 10 Draftkings points in 5 out of his last 6 games. Has a lot of power. 2 home runs in a couple games here. And we know Tyler Mahley's struggles a ton against lefties. So look at Mahley's numbers against lefties. He's gotten really destroyed against them. And Kyle Schwarber has really good numbers against Mahley for his career. He's hitting over 400 against Mahley and has a home run in 7 at-bats, I believe. So not a big sample size, but Schwarber does have good numbers against Mahley. And he's given up a 517 slugging to lefties and almost a 300 average, 299. And last season, he got destroyed as well to lefties. 576 slugging, 300 average given up. And Schwarber is really good against righties, has a lot of power. And he's pretty cheap at only $4,000, so other Cubs are really priced up. Schwarber's not priced up still. He's still at a really good, favorable price tag. And what do you know? He's been reverse splits this season, but I'm pretty sure he's not a reverse splits guy. Yeah, he's still not a huge... I mean, he's not hitting the cover off the ball for his career. But when he's batting leadoff, and he has taken some major steps. He has a 260 career ISO against righties. That's very appealing against Tyler Mahley. But last season, yeah, he was much better to lefties. Hit 25 home runs. 25 of his 26 home runs were against right-handed pitching. And he had a 261 ISO. So yeah, it's a small sample size this year to lefties, but take that with a grain of salt. He's much better against righties, as I just showed you with the power. So I like him a bunch. But that's it for the video. Those are the picks I like. Corbin, Suarez, Pinder, Rosario, Castellanos, and Kyle Schwarber. If you want to mix and match some other players like the Mets, gonna be stacking the Mets. We have some cheap Oakland bats once again against a lefty. Steven Piscotty hitting like over 340 against lefties. He's gonna be on my list that I like. And same thing with Mark Canha. He has a lot of power. He's shown a lot of power lately with 4 home runs in his last 6 games. So I like the A's a little bit. I like some of the lefties from the Cubs. And I like the Mets a lot. But that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and good luck today.